Welcome. Hello. Thank you so much for tapping in, tuning in with Enchantress the Babbler on our revolutionary rise of a high that is happening at this time. Welcome. How are you doing? I hope that you are doing wonderfully, 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 wonderfully. So welcome, right? And so it begins. Hello, how are you? Nice to meet with you here again. Welcome, my friend. So I hope you hear me good. I didn't put in my mic, so yeah, I hope you hear me good. So either way, anyways, so this is kind of like something different. I don't know. I don't script. I just sow that which I breathe from within the seed of this divine, pleasurable alchemy that is channeling through right, every single time. And so it's alchemy divine, right? So yeah, which is dope-tastic. So honestly, I like I said in the other video, I just these were here still. I added like one or two others from that which I recorded last time, right? I flipped this over. I kept this motherfucker here, right? Because we got the sword of truth up in here, right? Everything divinely lit, guided, and protected, right? Just that's like, faith. Faith is having the belief in things that are unseen, right? How many times do you have to affirm something? I thought you meant it the first time. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we have to affirm it, cement it, ground it, right, root it, and stuff like that. I'm not taking that away, but after that it's just like, okay, what is it, like a play on word now, like, you know what I'm saying? So either way, right, it's just a new day. It's a new day, a new perspective, a new lit opportunity for me to creatively express in the way that I desire to without any explanation to, right? Like sometimes I catch myself thinking and having these dialogues in my mind, and maybe you can resonate with that in some kind of way where you're just like overly critical of yourself in every kind of way. It's just like, oh, is that what you have to say? Or is that okay? Or, weird be, all these judgments and stuff like that too. And it's just the harshness of just being free to do that which we want to do, right? If there's anything that you're gonna get from here, let that be that energy clear of that alchemy, right? To have that, to have that sense of purpose and freedom to exist within your own being, right? It's about getting focused, right, about that which you are creating and manifesting. So you're creating and manifesting the the your creativity abundantly, right? It's like here I am, here I am creating abundance, prosperity as within exudes on out, right? I am prosperous, and that's what it's all about, allowing myself to be my creative self, right? Allowing myself to explore some more, to get myself to walk through every portal door, successful even more, right? Forevermore, right? Life me more, right? It's the matter of the knowing, the inner knowing. I am showing, I am inner glowing, right? I am flowing with these cosmic beats, right? Aligned with myself. Oh, I, I rule these streets, right? Because you get into the alchemy of that which you are designing, that which you're saying, that which you are affirming, that which you are making more. I like to make things entertaining, like and I've realized that too. Like even when I'm by myself, there's multiples here. And so if I feel like speaking out loud, and even if there's no one here, I speak. And it sometimes comes out in different accents too, and different voices and different emotions and different like whatever. And it's just the creative, and I know I'm being silly in my expression of it because fudge it, right? Like, who are you to judge me, right? Like, please, do you even speak free? So before you even dare try to shame me, silence me, or even condemn me for whatever, are you authentic? Are you free? Are you into your own like truth, like swords blazing? Like, not that we praising and trying to be egoic and all that kind of stuff, but who do you think you are? You think you tough? Nah, shit is rough out there. And when you get into that healing alchemy and you stand in your truth, like how dare you? Like sit your ass down, right? So it's like being that proud of like, nah, you ain't got shit to say, right? About my elevate, my evolution, my vibration, my frequency. So I think that's pretty dope. You know what I'm saying? And that's like adding to all this like hope, right? When shit be acting not right, like life could be a joke, right? It's like sometimes I look out there and I see that which occurs and I'm like, are you fudging kidding me, right? So it's like the alchemy, the truth, right? That be in your divine align. That's what we're setting forth free at every single given time. I am the breed of seed that is needed to be and breed and see uniquely. I am prosperous. I stand, right? Stable too. What you thought? Yeah, humorous is just my cool poetry too, and that's just cool. Just an added bonus of how I got to speak, right? Because it's just like, okay, it'd be cool that way to be able to say, right? And I still hold myself back. And that's the part that is exciting, right? It's exciting to know that even this part of me that might appear to be it's free, but there's still so much portals and dimensions and worlds for me to travel through to get through. And that's like you, like every single level, right? That you conquer, that you rise, every freaking mountain that you climb. It's just like, I arrived. And it's just like, okay, that's good, but there's still more, right? There's always gonna be more. So infinite is every door. And so we're allowing these portals some more. And intellectual quest and all this. What are you doing? Oh, intellectual quest that we seek, right? And we allow to absorb within our wells that live to tell. We are living wells that live to tell. I love that. All right. We are living wells that live to tell. I'm trying. The fuck? Okay. We are living wells that live to tell. I love that, right? So we're carving well. We're carving intentionally. And it's a great meditation. You know what I mean? You could also subscribe for 99 cents on Enchantress on Instagram, right? ENCHANTRESS, that you will get a quantum bang for your buck. Okay, right. The most affordable like DIY style strategy, right? Because nobody's gonna ever be able to do it for you but you know what I mean? And so hold on, I got because the deliveries and so people can sometimes see. Hold on. I love it. You see, so how free can we be that I put the blind down? And this is just me being real with myself. So look at even that carving into my existence the freedom to never put the blind down. Right? You stand your ground, you be proud, whomever you be, and it doesn't matter who's looking and who has anything to say and judgment that could be sent your way. Just do your thing. Do your thing. Free, align, alchemize, right? Expressing, right? Not suppressing, right? Enjoy and creating more that which you feel drawn to, but understand your whys. Know why you do what you do when you do how you do, not just because you just like a robot too, when you're conditioning too, acting like a fool, just doing what everybody motherfucking does, and it's just an empty vapid seed of a nothing, empty bleed. Like, you gotta awaken, please. You know what I mean? So that's just poetry, right? We think that really, really deep. Poetry is something so sweet. Often I cry. I should have said I weep, but please. Hey, it still rhymes. Trying not to rhyme and it still rhymes. That's funny. But anyway, so you see how you could devote a couple of moments of your time to just be focused upon that which you create. It's just for your neurons to fire, activate, and see the tangible thing that you created in your own reality that was helping you to breed, see that which you desire to create. It's about the time you take. It's not the quantity, it's the quality of time that you take to do something, to invest yourself in something and be actually true, genuine, serious about it. Because when you do that, boom, boom, ciao, ciao, you know, you know, when your truth sticks, right? Alchemy, health, wealth, stealth, and divine lit, guided, and motherfucking protected. Any weapons formed against me meets their motherfucking mirror right motherfucking away. And it's like, blast, blast, it's just like, you thought you could play. Go away. And not today, Satan, not today, not today, right? So here we are. By far. Not playing around, not fucking around, right? On top of this, I'm gonna have to watch that one because yeah. Oh yeah. So here we are. This too, right? But I gotta like that. Hey, here we are. Listen, let's never leave a candle unattended, please. Like, seriously. Like, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you got animals, children, and all this kind of stuff. And it doesn't matter. Like, I shouldn't have to say that. Just ever, never, ever. You know what I'm saying? Um, Coming from a fire starter. What did I put here? I lost something. Hold on 1 second. So a lot of time has passed, and whatever the case may be, because my daughter came over here, and she was just being annoying, and as she was being annoying, I was shuffling these, and these are what fell out. So it's a soften and open as I was trying to tell her to go, like I was recording, and then she started bothering the cat. So like, and they were peacefully like resting and stuff like that. So whatever, and these are the ones that fell out. So I was like, okay, whatever, like we'll use it because whatever. And then when I was like, final, like, get out. It's like I breathe. So I just thought that was funny, right? So soften and open, be artistic, touch, 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 right? Pleasure, breathe, right? Communication coming, right? Create, you know what I mean? Okay, cool. Right. So freeing ourselves to allow our truest expression, no matter what it is. So this book, I want to read it. And so guess what? We're gonna start reading it together. And I don't care. Like, I'm gonna read one fucking story from here. And if you don't want to hear it, you don't have to. But for those of you that like to be read to and like story time, then I invite you to join me, right? Whatever happens in between, if I stop in between, if I pull cards in between, if we chit chat in between, I don't know. I don't fucking know, nor do I care. I'm just out here, like, just doing that which I'm doing, and that's just that, you know what I'm saying? Trusting myself, right? Definitely go watch all my fucking videos, but the video before this video, and finally, vlog number 5, definitely follow my second YouTube channel, Mystic Muse Vlog. The information will be in the description box. So always read the description box, because the description box will have all of the information that you need to connect with me more on different platforms, to streams and all this kind of stuff. So definitely always read between the lines there. Either way, so oh, hold on 1 second, please. What's under that? What's under what? What's under that? Accept what is, right? Okay, hold on. I won't pull anymore. Hold on. So much time has passed, as you can see from the candle. That's one way to tell. But whatever. Accept what is, okay? Trust myself. So I said I wasn't gonna pull anymore. Be behind the camera and stuff, but welcome. Yeah, so it's about, right, like whatever this is going to be firmer, right? Be firmer in the way that you go out there being brilliant, right? As you go out there being brilliant, have compassion towards yourself, right? The connection that you are finally having within your own being, right? For forgiveness too, right? The gratitude that's growing, the reassurance that you need, right? Still, it's like it's a gift unto thee, right? To thy own self be true. I am love, right? In every kind of capacity, in every kind of way, I'm striving, I'm thriving, I'm prosperous today, right? And so what does that mean for us? Right? And it feels good. For me, it feels good the more and more when I just allow myself to express myself. Granted, and that's the thing, am I just expressing myself for attention, right? And I had to meet with that devil, right? And really put myself up there to bat, right? But the entertainment that I do happens behind the scenes too, right? It doesn't matter whether I'm recording or not. So might as well just record. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, that's where I'm at. I'm like, dude, this shit is happening. It's not happening for the cameras. It's happening because this is what happens. And this is just now sharing, right? Because that has become, even in itself, a very educational system for those that are sharing a different type of message of, like, enlightenment, encouragement, motivation, inspiration, spiritual, in their own spirituality and their own individuality, whatever it is that you do and however it is that you associate with, and whatever participatory consciousness you choose to participate in. You know what I'm saying? Like, for somebody to come in here and say, "Oh, look at the spirituality that you speak. It's blasphemy or this and that." Like, hop off. You don't have to be here, one, and you are free to believe as you want to believe, right? As for me, I'm an entertainer in my own way. I've always been this way, right? So why should I deny myself, right? Because the naysayers got something to say, right? People always gonna have something to say. When I started doing stuff even before with my old friendship crew, right, that fucking flatline because it needed to, definitely go check out my blog, because I'm gonna be sharing those stories of why my ex-best friend and I are no longer best friends. You know, that type of shit, right? Not for, it's for peace, right? But it's my willingness now to share, because it's profound, like, in the journey of evolution and the amount of mana that we each have to gift one another, especially when we make ourselves vulnerable enough to share in our stories, not for fucking victimization, not for, attention seeking habits and toxicities, and, like, heal that side of yourself first. So it doesn't matter what happens out here on the scene. I remember, and for me, it started with my blog when I said I was lucky if one person read my blog, right? I was lucky if one person read my blog, and then I let it go, but I kept writing. I kept writing because that's what I love to do. And it became like I'm writing to myself, but all these voices in my head and all these creations and all this stuff, and just the freedom to allow myself to speak. And then one day when I asked someone, my ex-best friend, to do something, because she was good with, like, graphic kind of stuff or whatever, and because I don't know how to do any of that, right? At that time, right? I've learned a lot, right? It's better to learn how to do certain simplicities of things, especially if you're doing it, because they have to be dependent upon others that do it. And then those that might be malicious or tend to have some haterade vibes or just, malice in some kind of hidden disguise. It's just better to know it for yourself, do it for yourself so that you don't have to depend upon anybody to do it. And granted, when you get to a certain kind of plateau where it's affordable, then you can hire it from a professional service as opposed to trying to freaking give somebody the benefit of the doubt that can just fucking sabotage your shit. And unless it's somebody that you really truly connect with and trust and all this kind of stuff, or you're a partner with and stuff like that, out there be rough, right? It's out there is rough in the streets. It's tough because a lot of people just want to, like, they have that lack-minded mentality, that poverty mindset that just has them in this state of competition and thinking that there's not enough for everybody to eat. And so they don't want you to speak, right? Because they want everybody to just be them and stuff like that too, right? So anyways, um what were we saying? See, I get sidetracked when I start talking about stupid shit like that. But um what I'm saying, spirit, right? What about the flowing, right? That we're going forgiveness, right? We're forgiving these kind of connections that could ruffle our feathers, right? Because we're brilliant, right? And we have gratitude, right? And we're taking it one step at a time, right? So we're patiently waiting, right? With the simplicity, I was just talking about that. So we're not no longer identifying with certain kind of things, right? So we're breaking free. So I don't know what I was saying before, and I'm glad I'm stepping out of it because it just gets me in a pithy kind of mood when I think about these kinds. Oh, with my blog, that's what I was talking about, right? So with my blog, and then I had asked her to do something for me, right? And so in doing that, that was the discovery, but it wasn't her, it was my daughter that saw it, right? Because she was there. And so my daughter is the one that pointed out that at that time, like I'm telling you, I went from, if I was lucky, if one person read, and all of a sudden I was over 60,000 views, right? And stuff like that. And then my Google account, before when they used to show the statistics and all this kind of stuff, was over 1 million, right? But they stopped. It was like as soon as if that's what it felt like. As soon as I have screenshots of that shit, right? And it's posted too, so at least you have that, right, as proof, right? It's just like because they took out a lot of like true number statistics because they started doing all this profitable kind of shit, like everything you really want this, you got to pay for it. You want to this, you got to pay for it. You want this, you got to pay for it, instead of like genuine fucking growth anymore. It's like they hold you back, right? But anyways, we're not identifying with that kind of shit either and stuff like that. Things just, like whatever. And also your mindset, right? Of how you prepare and how you choose to look at something is always going to be either beneficial to you or toxic to you. So it's like you pick and choose how you want to perceive something and how you want to maneuver and stuff like that. So anyways, right? So the point of it all is, why do you do what you do when you do how you do when you do what you do, right? And knowing those truths, right? I'm not doing it for the, like, not doing it for the applause. I do it because I love it. And now I find joy in being able to share it in different kind of ways too, because that took a long time for me to get to that space of comfortability within myself. And I'll be damn, I let a mofo come here think that they're gonna be able to judge me, crucify me, or make me feel some type of way because I'm on my slave, right? And it's just like, you can get the fuck out my way, right? So it's like you can take that judgment and shove it right up your ass, right? That's where you could take it, right? And it's not about that type of attitude too, because we're talking about forgiveness too, but you got to have that type of attitude too, because before that, you're taking it all personally. Everything's personal until you learn to release it, right? For the piece of it, right? So, right, we got to stop identifying it with it in the here and the now, because here and the now is abundance. So be with nature, right? I love that too. And the intimacy of certain kind of plays that you are navigating and going through, right? Your solar plexus and heart chakra too, right? And the flow of you that's connecting with the divine, the alchemize of you for the fulfillment in your own life, right? So that's dope. Anyway, so that's, if you want to stay here, because I'm going to read. Maybe you like somebody to read. Maybe we're going to get some new insights. I don't know what's going to happen. I've never read this book before, right? But it stood out to me, and people, you'd be surprised what people like. I know that there's people that like people that read to them. So I'm one of those people that love to read. When I was in school growing up, the whole time I always had my hand raised because I wanted to read. And when it came time to plays, to do plays and stuff like that, I auditioned ASAP and always got the lead role, you see, because that was me, right? And then I went through a heavy, deep depression after my mother died, and I stopped doing a lot of those kind of things at that time. I'm modeling too, and just being like my true natural self, right? Trauma will break you, right? It'll make you forget about that spark that lives within you. Sadness can do that to you, right? So you lose a part of you, right? A hole lived in my heart because my mother fucking died and it tore me apart, right? So poetry was always one of my expressions. Writing has always been my type of thing. Writer before speaker, you know what I mean? So getting into the role of speaking has been a huge transition for me. That took years for me to feel even comfortable going on camera. When spirit was telling me go on camera, right? When I say spirit, don't worry about, right? That's just a way to express certain kind of navigate. It could be however we're all talking about the same fucking thing, but arguing about the label that we want to give it. I don't want to give it a label because then it makes you think of one particular thing. Be expansive with your line of thought. You don't have to stick everything to something. Like just know that in the essence of it, the feeling of it, the vibration of it, the energy of it, the frequency of it, that pulse of it, we're all talking about the same fucking thing, whatever that is, right? Our higher self, God, source, right? Spirit, freaking the crazies, like whatever you want to associate it with as, right? But that other consciousness, right? Like whatever sense of self that you fucking that communicates and with you clearly too when you hear certain things too. But anyways, right? Um, right? It's innocent, right? Own my idea, right? Perfect, right? Perfectly refocusing all the stuff that you are having, like talk to someone, right? So even just, yeah, like sharing the stuff that you're doing now, right? Or just even me, I'm just speaking of myself. And if you're tapped in, turned on, tuned in with I, then there's certain parts of you that express yourself in this life. And that's part of your life. That's part of your calling. That's part of your purpose in whichever way, shape, or form that is. Because I usually draw in, even though I draw in all walks of life, right? Because that's how it be. When you have that electromagnetic kind of energy, you bring in everything, right? And so, right, we just want to be all about our peace, right? Because you got this mystery that you keep, right? And then this rest, relax, relief that people feel in your presence too, right? This moment, right? Too. But up until now, what about it? We're understanding things a lot better, right? During our isolation, during our time alone, during the times that we allow ourselves to introspect, reflect, and detect that which is up with us so that we know what's up with us, so that we can know our whys behind every why of that which we do, when we do what we do, how we do, right? And so I had to come to my peace with that too, because people like, oh, look at you, you want attention. Oh, look at you. Oh, why don't you? Oh, you famous, you this, the teasing. Even my ex fucking best friend, Jennifer, I mean, is she famous and all this kind of stuff, like mocking, like, like taunting, like if it was a joke, right? And still, like, just allowing myself to just express myself anyways, even though the people closest to me were not the most fucking supportive, even though they love everything I fucking say, and I entertain them in every kind of way because everybody love my company, right? Oh, you make me laugh, you make me feel good, you make me blah, 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 right? But anyways, so we're refocusing. Witness, don't identify. Witness, don't identify. Witness, don't identify, right? And so we're coming into this majestic alliance. So at this moment in time, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna read the first story up in here too. So these are magical fairy tales, right? An enchanted collection of retold tales. Okay, right? So if you enjoy reading, I don't know how we're doing this, but I'm gonna start reading. The reason we're doing this is because I love to read, right? So welcome. I am your narrator. I come with many voices. I come with many things. Yeah, many activation. This is a portal. We're diving in and we're gonna have fun, my friends. All right. So thank you so much for tapping in, turning on, tuning in. I hope that you enjoy this little segment of a read, right? This is by Cavendish. You can definitely check out my Amazon shop, because in my Amazon shop, I will share where I got this book, which is on there. And you can use my Amazon affiliated link, which is awesome if you do, because hello, you got it from who? Me. Yeah, you know what I mean? So if you wanted to read alongside with me for whenever I do these kind of random kind of things, whatever. But this is that, and that is this, and that is what this is going to be. And we pull some cards, and we might pull some more, we might talk some more, we might do some things, because I am Enchantress the Babbler, if you have not gotten the gist of that. Right, so that's what's up with that, right? What does it say? Doesn't say anything in the back, right? Beware, beware, for witches, wolves, and wonders lie within, right? Once upon a time, wolves charmed red-cloaked witches from the path. Obsidian mirrors advised immortal queens, and abandoned brother and sister called upon the ancestors to overcome an evil encountered in the dark heart of the forest. Did you ever wonder about the real magic in fairy tales? Because long ago, fairy tales were spirit stories, tales of mystery, initiation, and transformation, and they were not only meant for children. In this collection of retold fairy tales and one bewitching original Lucy Cavendish, I hope I said that right, has reimagined 11 classics, restoring their pagan wisdom so that every story bubbles over with spells, potions, hexes, fairies, and all manner of magical beings. Boys grow antlers, enchanted horses talk from beyond the afterlife. Mermaid mothers call to their daughters. Alchemy allows a psychic girl to spin straw into gold. Spindles curse, and witches good and witches malevolent do battle within these spell-binding pages, featuring fairy tale inspired spells, fascinating histories, and the spine-tingling secrets behind the story. This collaboration between Lucy Cavendish and Jasmine Beckett Griffith is a thrillingly witchy twist on some of the world's most beloved tales. So, we're going to read a story from here. Are you ready? Blue Angel Publishing. I feel like that's important. Maybe some of you are writers and you're looking for a publishing company or something like that to market your book to, or something like that. Blue Angel Publishing, for those inquiring. And I hear also, I forgot the name of that one. I hear it at the tip of my tongue. Whatever. Anyway, it's just that one. That's the one. Right? For those of you writer that are just looking for a publishing company, I don't know, for whatever reason, right? For whatever reason, victory exists, right? If you handle this, if you move on forward with that which morally so, that which spiritually inclined, right? Mastering your alchemy at this time, right? Continue to do that which you do, right? Reliable too. You have pentacles reliable. You have things that you're working on that are reliable, that are here for that legacy, wealth, and growth, and possibility, infinity, right? And the generosity of the reciprocation that you are in flow with at this time, especially if you tapped in, turned on, tuned in with I at this time, right? And we're going to tap into this magical fairy tale land and see what stories unfold for you, my friend, right? Rivalry. Uh-oh. People be mad. They be mad, right? They want to go and they're like, they want to be upset about what you do, how you do, when you do, what you do, because they don't even know what you do, how you do, because you're like this impossible read. Like, many people think that they can see, but you are like this mystery, right? This mystery beyond what they can understand or recognize, right? They want to reach out in some kind of way. Rivalry wants to reach out in some kind of way. I hear even for some collaborate, right? For the benefit of the all, even though it's a selfish greed, right? They want to reach out because you got chemistry, right? So it's like a karmic work certain things out, maybe become friends. Like, you know, when they say your worst enemy becomes your best friend, because it was always a misunderstanding from the jump street or something like that, right? I don't know, we'll see, right? Because they feel, look, it's some type of lack, right? Some kind of complication, some kind of dependency on something or the way that they think, right? About certain kind of things. Definitely go watch my 555 new moon in Gemini with Cancer rumblings video. Definitely go watch that, right? So they can feel stuck or in some kind of way imprisoned by their thoughts in every kind of way, imprisoned by the way that they think, imprisoned by the way that they speak, imprisoned by the things that they do. Like they really truly are obsessed with you, right? Um, and so there's this opportunity that's presenting itself, right, for progress. It doesn't mean to join forces. It just means that you're working on a lot of things. So be mindful about that which you are creating and don't be so quick to be so open and share about what you got going on out there. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people don't have your best interest in mind, and you're living a life for satisfaction at this time because you are abundant in that kind of way. And it's just like, okay, right? So certain kind of disappointments could be coming up because that could be the challenge, especially with all the transitions that are happening now, right? It could be bringing out things that are shadowy and needing to be um, mastered, really mastered. Right? All this fives again, right? That number might scare you too. Don't be scared. It's a number of massive like transformation once you get through whatever hurdle, if there is one. It doesn't always have to necessarily mean trouble, but it just means pay attention. And it means that there's victory at hand. So there shouldn't be that type of thought to penetrate your bubble, right? Your electromagnetic field that is powerful. You know what I'm saying? Like your electromagnetic field that's powerful, right? This legacy of wealth that you are creating in the pentacles. Like that's everything. Health, wealth, stealth. Marriage, if you want it, a life partner, if that reach for you, a family, children too, if that's what you want. Not everybody wants that, right? But don't hold on so tightly to that which you think you have because infinite be your way. And so if you stay stuck on what happened yesterday or, in your memories, because look at that as memories, you're doing yourself an injustice, right? When you do that, because you're stuck in a time that no longer applies. And it's just like you got to get out of your own line and alchemize. You know what I mean? Changes. You got to get out of your own line. The real changes. You got to be willing to be fair to yourself. Queen of Swords style, right? Exactly. So it's like yeah, not settling for anything less than you deserve, right? Giving yourself the fair justice that you deserve to have. Yeah, be curious, right? Dive in, take a dive. So we are gonna take a dive. I'm just gonna pause for a moment, and when I come back, we shall begin with magical fairy tales. This is the introduction. We're not gonna read that. But look at how beautiful the illustrations are, right? Like really beautiful, right? Like seriously, like it's gorgeous, gorgeous. That looks delicious. Right, that's the introduction. Oh, and we are going to start with Snow White. No, why? What? I will be right back. I'm excited to read Snow White's retold story with you. I hope you enjoy it too. Oh, yeah, and this I'm looking at here. So we'll see what else is wanting to be made clear. Hold on. Welcome. Hello. How are you? So Snow White is going to be the story that I'm going to narrate and read for you, right? But this made me think about this, right? And let's just see what is happening here, right? I read Revenge. Dream. Rosalie. Okay. Let's see what storylines are coming out. Okay. Rings, falling in love. Okay, that's what this story is about. I hope so. Right? Prodigy's birth of love, it is to me. Act 1, Scene 5. Symbol of love, union, soul connection. How well my comfort is revived by this. Act 3, Scene 1. Okay, I love that. That's going to be fun. Okay. All right. I hope so. But I really do like the art of this. This is absolutely gorgeous. Like, seriously, I think it's gorgeous. Okay. All right. Are you ready? I have never read this before. I have not rehearsed. I literally have not read this. This is going to be the first time I'm reading it. Like, legit. Right. So it is what it is. Okay. Hold on. Let's get comfortable. Right. Alrighty. It was the longest winter any could recall. It was the coldest winter any could recall. So cold, it was that no babes were born in the land. And the king and queen of that still, white place knew that without the birth of a child, the land would never give birth to plants or crops, nor would the animals bring forth their young amidst the frozen world. Hold on. I have to hold on. We're going to start again. Okay. Take 2. It was the longest winter any could recall. It was the coldest winter any could recall. So cold, it was that no babes were born in the land. And the king and queen of that still, white place knew that without the birth of a child, the land would never give birth to plants or crops, nor would the animals bring forth their young amidst that frozen world. So the king and queen wished. And one day, when the longing grew too much, the queen rose up as if in a trance and walked out into that cold world. Snow fell, tiny crystals, kaleidoscopes from the sky. Her lashes were white, her lips were blue, her hands were frozen with cold, but she walked, longing for some sign that new life would come. She had with her a fine staff made of ebony, and she leant on it after a time, for she grew tired quickly in the cold. She came to the gardens that, in summer, held great full-petaled roses of every color, and she saw on a blackened branch anointed with the longest thorns a small, perfect, red rose. She reached for the bright blossom, but her cold finger caught on a thorn, and although she was close to frozen, her blood rushed to the surface, and 3 drops of her scarlet blood fell upon the purest snow. The brilliant spots of red were visible upon the white snow, and the black of the ebony walking stick, carved with the sigil of the royal house, stood out starkly against the alabaster lamp. Seeing this, the queen thought to herself, as if in a dream, how I wish I would have a girl, her hair as long and black as this ebony stick, her lips red as this blood, her skin as fair as the snow. And she felt at once a great change within herself, as though something in the world had heard her and granted this wish. And so it was that within 9 cold moons, the queen's wish was granted. On the day her daughter first drew breath, a great howling gasp as she sucked in life for the first time. The snowdrops pushed their way through the cold ground. The animals began to birth their young, and slowly the green world advanced upon the white snow, and life began to return to the land. But something had gone from the mother forever. The mysterious winter had taken too much of her to survive for long, and although there were soon summer days and warm breezes, soon red roses blooming her child's white face, the queen lived for only a little while. I hear like hemorrhaging. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I imagine, and then now I just think about the resonance, like of me. Like now, like this is bringing me back to my childhood days of resonating with certain kind of characters. When I was in kindergarten, um, I was Snow White, and because I'm short, right? I'm little. The costume was so long on me, but I didn't care. I didn't care that I tripped up the stairs wearing it. I didn't care that I tripped down the stairs wearing it. All I cared was that I wore this Snow White costume. And it's like, isn't it like foreshadowing though? Because at that time my mom was still alive. But isn't that interesting that it's like I was Snow White. And anyway, so let's go back to the story, okay? Okay, let's go back to the story, okay? Breathe. I'm not gonna cry, okay? I'm not gonna cry. Like, please, I better not be fucking crying. I look down and I see my eyes up. That's funny. Okay. But something had gone from the mother forever. The mysterious winter had taken too much of her to survive for long, and although there were soon summer days and warm breezes, soon red roses blooming in her child's white face, the queen lived for only a little while. When she knew she would go back to earth, she requested her child attend her. She whispered to the little princess many secrets, secrets of calling the animals to her, old knowledge of how to live when the world stops being kind, and ways to survive. There will be times when there is cruelty, the queen said to the little girl, who stood before her mother, puzzled but attentive. The child wanted to be outside. She itched to climb the trees and peek into the nest filled with baby birds. She longed to help milk the goats and trace the path of the tiny deer she had seen at the edges of the forest when her father took her for walks. She wanted to know everything about the world, about all the beings in it. But she listened. And though the girl had known only kindness since the moment she first breathed, someplace deep within her understood her mother when she whispered, "Beware." And so the queen died, and the child's walks with the father ceased. He could not speak to his daughter. Seeing her face made him think of the brief summers he had with his wife, and of how the cold time had returned to his partner. After just 13 moons passed, the king prepared to take another wife. The woman was beautiful, so fair that all who saw her were smitten, enslaved, and with devotion and cowering kind. We're gonna read that again. take, take. We take back. I'm taking it back. Hold on, I'm pressing like so hard on my butt cheeks. That's holding me. Hold on. After just 13 moons passed, the king prepared to take another wife. The woman was beautiful, so fair that all who saw her were smitten, enslaved with devotion and a cowering kind of love. She was kind to all who worshipped her, and as all did so, no one saw her true nature, nor did they see the great fear that worked within her. For to this woman all power was derived from beauty. A great wedding was held for the union of the king and his new queen, and there was feasting and revelry throughout the land. The beautiful queen was kind to Snow White, as the princess was known, for though the child was fair, she was only a child, and long years lay between her youth and her coming into womanhood. The new queen knew that when that day came, but no, she told herself, beating back the shadow of her jealousy, she would not think of it now. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about how that was there, right? Where is it, right? Where's that line? Where's the line? Let's highlight. Let's highlight right now, right? Let's crystallize. Let us crystallize that which needs to be crystallized. Right here. But no, she told herself. Hold on 1 second, I'll be right back. But no, she told herself, beating back the shadow of her jealousy. She would not think of it now, but that's a lie. Because breeding and brooding deep down inside, she kept this jealousy alive. And so if there's anything that we learn in time, is that the more that you suppress, the more that you oppress, the bigger it gets, right? The stronger it grows. So these seeds that we sow, this is just being mindful about. So you see, like, do you see how like horrible that seed that is, that it even came down to that she tried to get rid of Snow White, as we know, right? We're reading the story, but as we know, because this is a story long foretold, this has been repeated over time. And so we all kind of get the gist of the story anyways, and whatever, we're just reading it from this foretelling, this storyteller. But anyways, let's go, right? So in a dark room high in the tower, where once the other queen had gazed out at the endless snow, the new queen looked out upon roses and tall trees of green and fertile lands rich with crops. In this room, she ordered her servants to build an altar, and upon that altar they installed a great black mirror, one she had brought with her, part of her dowry. She kept a special silk cloth over the altar, and when the moon was dark each month, she went to the inky mirror and gazed into it. There, and only under the dark of the moon, she saw the reality of her being, how she would look if the truth within her was revealed upon her seemingly perfect face. For when others looked at the new queen, they saw hair that felt like a golden lake all about her, light shining from her skin, eyes the color of flowers in the fields in spring. But at the dark of the moon, when she gazed into her mirror, she saw a twisted face bearing scars and cracks and furrows caused by anger, jealousy, sadness, and most blighting of all, by cruelty. Cruelty! Cruelty! That's what did her in, right? Because sometimes people can get jealous, sometimes people can get angry, and oftentimes we are so sad, right? Anger, jealousy, sad. But when you're fucking cruel, when you are fucking cruel, when you are cruel, That's a different kind of ugly that is just plain fucking ugly. And that shit don't fly by pretty. So many people have to glamorize. They have to overly like filter, pretend. Cruel is, I'm not here, but whatever the case may be, right? Anyway. Most surprising, though, was that the face she saw in the moon dark mirror was ancient, for she was very old. So old, the king would never have believed it had anyone told him. Each month, after the queen stared at the truth of who she was filled with heartbreak. But think about that, right? It's like you created a ritual to hurt yourself every single month, to live in that heartbreak. So it's like participational consciousness. It's like choosing to reenact an act that is so deadly that you suffer again in its wake, right? So it's like, why do that, right? So can we say that she did this to herself by the repetitive acts that she created through this moon cycle, or was this part of her punishment where she cursed or something like that, right? Where this was her punishment for her cruelty, and she had to look, therefore, at the ugly that she was and the pretty she tried to pretend to be, you know? This is deep. Didn't know. I'm enjoying this. I hope you are too. But all right, let's continue, whatever the case may be, right? So yeah, that's heartbreaking. This is me having compassion for the cruel bitch, right? And I hate to say that but the fact that she's cruel, I just can't. You know what I mean? And sometimes, I wonder if there's remorse from those that ever have been cruel to have and take back and stuff like that. Like that would take a real genuine, authentic act, like that can't be covered by anything. Like it would have to be so real that when you're when when you're that, you know it when you see it, right? Like it's like if somebody's faking being like kind when really they're not. Like a person that's actually kind can see through that. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't know about all that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I still feel bad. I don't know. Am I wrong for feeling bad? Right? Should I feel bad? No, I probably shouldn't. But whatever. Okay. So each month after the queen stared at the truth of who she was filled with heartbreak. Right? So think about that, right? Oh my God, let's think about that. Let's have compassion for this wicked queen, right? Um, this is what I do. This is what I do. This is why I don't have enemies. Because I see that which why they do what they do, how they do, even if I don't like what they do, and even though they fucking activate and want to come at me the sideways, the wrong way, like yo, you're better off trying to be my friend. It's more beneficial that way, right? But like, yeah, like this is what I do, right? Like I break it down, like, and we break it down and we see that which they really are. And so you have compassion for even them, right? So, but let's break that down. So, like, it's for somebody to say that she's heartless, that's a lie. Because if she was really that cruel, she wouldn't have heartbreak for that which she's being asked to look back on. You get what I'm saying? So there's something even deeper than that maybe, she can't see, right? The past that heartbreak, like, dude, why you're crying then? If you don't give a fuck, you like to be cruel, and cruel is what you are, and then you shouldn't be crying because you just shouldn't care, right? Like something like that. You get what I'm saying? So the fact that she was filled with heartbreak, that remorse? I don't know. Let me know, because there be some cruel mofos out there. Like, let me address this to Psycho that could have possibly killed me if I stayed, right? And who has abused and misused so many others as well, right? And how his family um um enabled that side of that monster, right? That's so many cruel acts, right? So many cruel acts committed, right? Violating, like showing no remorse, only like her, right? Terror Squad. Um, a person like that, right? Do you have any remorse, heartbreak for that what you do? Or in this lifetime are you just cruel? You get what I'm saying? And so like right, let me just read the next sentence then, right? So if any saw who she truly was, or knew the tainted magic she kept her shining youth intact, she would lose all comfort, all food, all riches, all power. She would be cast out, or worse, burned, as her mother before her had been when she had allowed herself to grow as old in appearance as she was in years. So now that makes me feel bad. So the only reason why she has to keep up with this facade is because when she lets herself go, because she can live forever, you see. So her gift is like or curse, right? You can call it like a curse too, is eternity, right? So you get to live here out on earth, but you do age even if you're much older than that, but other people may not understand that, and because people are cruel, right? Because hurt people, right? That type of thing. Like, I don't know. I'm just seeing this a little bit differently now that I'm reading it like this. You can tell me, like, if you see it differently, like, nah, fuck that, like, whatever the case may be. But you let me know. You know what I mean? So look, for the queen knew age was a woman's death. And this is like this world today with all this cosmetic surgery. And oh my God, are you hearing the stories of the beautiful souls that are losing their lives because they're trying to keep up with cosmetics in this life, that they just deny themselves the right to be healthy, wealthy, stealthy in any kind of way. And they put themselves in danger in every kind of way just to look at a certain kind of aesthetic way. It's so sad. That was a lot. We're healing all of that, right? We're healing that. We're operating in our swords of truth, right? Alchemize, align, embrace it. It's not saying don't wear makeup. I fucking wear makeup. But I also don't wear makeup. Like I remember when I had this year of purging. I think I spoke about it on the yeah, I have. I've spoken about it a few times on different videos and stuff like that, but it's coming up again, so fuck it. Right? Where it was like a whole year where my purge, my fasting was makeup. I wasn't allowed to wear nothing. I know who told me I wasn't allowed. Nobody told me I wasn't allowed, but it was me fasting the 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 makeup, fasting, needing it, fasting, um not loving myself all that I am, like flawed and all, like however, like no need to cover my dark circles, no need to if I have a blemish, no need to cover any of that, no more eyeliner, no eyeshadow. So this is when I had this fast approach, and let me tell you, it was so hard, especially when people were like, "Are you okay?" Asking me if I was sick or like, because it's different levels, different devils, you're gonna get tested. And it doesn't mean that I look ghastly, because I remember this one time when someone had asked me that, and I thought I had looked cute that day, right? I thought I had looked cute that day and stuff like that. And this person had asked me if I was feeling okay. And I was like, but I'm so direct, I'm so blunt. This is that in the Western astrology. I mean, the Sagittarius, right? So I'm like, why? Because I have no makeup on? And they're like, oh no, I'm sorry. Like, you make somebody feel uncomfortable and all this kind of stuff. But it's not that you're trying to make me feel uncomfortable. Like, I don't understand. Like, do I look sick, or I just don't have makeup on? So I'm just asking you so we could be a little bit clear. And they're like, oh no. I'm like, no, because this is just how I look. But it was all defense mode. It was all beast mode, like, and so I remember this day, and I took pictures purposely, right? I didn't ever I did not share those pictures, right, that I took of myself until years later, okay? Because those like it could have been a year or two later. I don't have no sense of time. I'm just saying it was like it was a while later. Like I didn't share those pictures, right? So it was really for me. But even when I took them, I didn't look at them. And it took when I looked back at them, right? A year or two later, 3 years, I don't know how much fucking time, right? I was like, oh my God, I look great. And and that was like revelation, like of how harsh and and overly critical we can be, and how like this whole body dysmorphia can be and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Anyways, right, so I just like got lost in all this kind of storyline stuff, but seriously, like I'm now looking at this a little bit different, like, so like her reason for her spells and having to keep up with this illusion, this facade, is because if she allowed herself to grow, but this is also being stuck in the past, right? This is being stuck in the past that doesn't apply to right now, right? So your mother's story doesn't have to be your story. You understand? Like that's like that, right? So introspection, right? And using our sword of truth, like intellect, right? Our ace of swords, right? That sword of truth, right? After much introspect, right? Um, 1991 could be important to you. If you were born in 1991, whatever the case may be, it could be life path 9, life path 1, um, life path 8, life, I said 1. But yeah, so that was a horrible shuffle. But you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. And it's just like, so look at that. So I think about, definitely watch all my videos, but definitely watch the last video before this video. I don't know, or maybe 2 videos before this video. I don't know. But the 555 new moon one. Okay, watch that one. So like the superpowers that we should be activating, that are true superpowers, not wealth and all this kind of stuff, or cars or beauty or like fame and all this kind of stuff, like real like forgiveness, like what this world needs, like love, right? Peace, right? All these like other kind of things, right? And these kind of things. So now we're diving deep into this fairy tale folklore land, right? I didn't even know we were going into this like this, but this is how it's coming out. This is why I love this. If there's anything you're gonna learn here, is just trust your intuition, follow your gut, and just listen and just do that what you feel called upon to do. And never mind how you do what you do, just know why you do what you do. And listen to how you do what you do, and just enjoy and love what you do, you know? Do that. Hold on 1 second. So yeah. So so this is just horrible. Ay, ay, ay. So 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 if there's anything that we're gonna get from all of this, is all sides of the equation, so that we can see the whole, so we can let go of its parts and release it all, so that we can script. Oh, hold on. Hold on, please. I like that. Right, so this determination, this Queen of Wands type of energy, right? Mastery, right? Boldness, this fire, this spark. What were we talking about? I don't even know. Oh my goodness. I hit pause. I just remember the Queen of Wands, but I don't remember before that and stuff like that. What were we saying? Ay, ay, ay. Oh, 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 right. So yeah, the mastery of you and the fire and passion that exists within you too, right? To do that which is right for the greater good of the all, right? Like when you do that which is right within, right? When you find that peace, kumbaya, and you live from within your soul, and you have your fire spirit freed, and you just all in your kind of alchemy, and you breathe that kind of seed, and you just are this energy, and it's just like ring a ling a ling, bring more of that into the world, that type of thing, right? What was the whole point of that? Um, right. What was the whole point of that? Right. Oh yeah, the superpower. Right. The superpowers. The superpowers are magnificent to focus upon, because trust, you only win with that type of vibration. Like, what do you think you need to spend some with jealousy, some hate, some evil eye, some sneaky vibe? Like, fuck out of here. You're gonna lose every time, because that's just that kind of alchemize. Even if you think you win and you get someplace on some kind of platform, or some kind of thing, you are miserable. It's just a miserable energy. So it's just like there is not a win, right? You still got to give it a different type of tail spin. And so now you got this rarity, right? This new that doesn't, nobody knows what it looks like, so it's scary too. And it's just like, okay, right? But you're determined too, right? Because so part of this that I feel like we see, like I feel like, like you think about that. Like she just has to keep, like sometimes people just have to keep. And that's also the mentality. That's the old script. That's the old conditioning that everybody's just trying to hold on to that which they have, because of um this conditioning of believing that there's this hierarchy, there's this unfairness, there's this type of leveling in this world that that very few get on. And when they're there, and those that are almost there, or those that are quite up there, and those that are significantly up there, and others that are just down here in the pits, right? It's just like a doggy dog world. Everybody's taking hits. So it's no different than her, right? Where the only reason that she's ever come into this dark is because she's had to maintain that which has been conditioned into her in every kind of way. This is the only way that she knows how to be. Because if she reveals herself, you see, everybody cast upon to her their dark deep, and then she's burned at the stake. I feel bad. Why do we have to be this way? Why does Earth have to be this way? Why do Earthlings have to be this way? Why do we cast each other out? Like, just because we're different, or somebody, like, wow, that's ugly. That's so ugly. That's so ugly. That's so ugly. I don't like that. Satisfaction. Okay, Nine of Cups, receiver, right? And ending this to disappointments, right? These disappointments, having the satisfaction. It's interesting that the Three of Swords came out upside down, right? And the Nine of Cups came right side, like came standing up. Right, so it's like the dualities, right, which is that mirrored moon. Definitely go watch my other video, the 555 new moon in Gemini, right, with Cancer rumblings and stuff like that, right? So it's the duality, right, of this form, this transformation that's happening here. You know what I'm saying? But let's get back to the story, because I can babble for days. You know what I'm saying? So I just have compassion now for the wicked queen, right? I don't know. Anyways, right? So each month after the queen stared at the truth of who she was filled with heartbreak. If any saw who she truly was, or knew the tainted magic that kept her shining youth intact, she would lose it all comfort, all food, all riches, all power. She would just be casted out, or worse, burned, as her mother before her had been when she had allowed herself to grow as old in appearance as she was in years. For the queen knew age was a woman's death, and the loss of beauty the death of her power, and she would never allow her beauty or her power to die. She gazed within the mirror at all other phases of the moon cycle and comforted herself with her apparent beauty, saying, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" And the mirror, showing her reflection of beauty beyond compare, would reply, "Great queen, thou art the fairest of them all." For it could, after so many years, speak the truth to its keeper. And during those years, the land grew stronger and the princess grew older. She was good and bright and kind, so kind. The girl had so often climbed the trees at the edge of the forest and followed the paths of the tiny deer into the forest fringe, but still she longed to see the great old sacred trees deep within the forest heart, trees of which her father had often spoken. But she knew he might never be able to show these trees to her himself, because her father had sickened with every year of his marriage. Before his daughter's eyes, he had transformed. He became bent and gray and shuffling, growing weaker and older, aging faster than anyone could recall a person doing in so short of a passage of time. Although no one knew the source of his affliction. Meanwhile, both the land and Snow White grew stronger with every passing season. Daily, the princess became more lustrous with her shining white skin, the great black waterfall of her ebony hair, and the roses of red that bloomed on her cheeks and lips. The queen saw all this and knew that, when the girl came of age, her own beauty would be surpassed. Only the queen knew that she alone had drained the life force of the king for these years. With it, she had shored up her beauty, but soon the king would die. And then, without another source of life force, the queen's power would wane. And if one became more beautiful than she, the queen herself would be eclipsed. And then she would shrivel and die or be burned. That's sad. So did she ever really have a choice? Think about that kind of conditioning. Right, granted, still do that, which is right. Why be cruel upon to others to save you? Like, then be, bitch, you gotta die, Like, what the fuck? Like, I take one for the team. Hey, okay. I don't know. Forgiveness, right? I don't know what to say. Right, but still, it's like griping, right? It's like this plastic surgery industry and fillers and filters and stuff like that. Like, nobody looks like themselves. That's scary. I get fooled all the time. My daughter be telling me, she's like, Mom, no, they're using a filter. Mom, no, they're using a thing. I'm like, really? Really? Well, what are they using? Please leave in the comments what you're using. Thank you. I'm just curious. I want to try it out. I mean, everybody uses lights. I get that. Like, we all use lights. But I be looking like a hot mess a lot of the times too when I do come on and jump on and scream. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And it took a long time to get to that place. And so that story that I shared with you earlier about the years ago, and that was like my daughter was probably when I did that whole makeup thing. I was still working in the fashion industry. So feel that wrath because I was surrounded by superficial folks and I had to do this. I had to fast. I had to I had to accomplish this. I had to love me. That was the journey. To love myself as I was without makeup on. And that shit was rough. That shit was tough. I was surrounded by people that were so into beauty, aesthetic, and all this kind of stuff. And it was just like murderous. But I did it. I did it. And then by the time I jumped back into like just beautifying myself, it was for me. It wasn't because I had to. It was because I wanted to. And so it started to like, so now I can go out with or without makeup. Now I could throw on any kind of thing. Like I'm just like, I worked on that superficiality because it wasn't important. It didn't matter. What mattered was how I felt. My depression was more that needed more attention than that aspect of superficiality of having to maintain a certain type of image or function and stuff. And I don't even I see and like I don't even know how to do makeup like the way that y'all be learning how to do makeup, like and the kicking on of the makeup and stuff. Like, I don't know nothing about none of that. And I definitely don't have time nor patience or desire to do any of that just because I feel like that's a lot. So like literally like my makeup routine is like under 10 minutes. It's like on the go when I do it. Like it's just and I'm done. Like, you know what I mean? And granted, if I'm going someplace and I want to do a little extra, then I do a little fucking extra. I do a little extra, I do a little extra. But trust me, I'm still using my fingers. I'm blotting and dotting in that kind of way, and it's still the fastest routine that you will ever see. My daughter makes fun of it all the time. You know what I mean? Because she's like, Mom, oh my God. You know that's not where that goes. You know where that I'm like, I don't care. That's how I'm using it. Whatever, but I'm just saying. So I don't know. Like I never know which order to do anything. Like when you know how when you do foundation or like highlighter or concealer. I never know which one. I'm like I see some people put the concealer after the foundation or foundation. I'm just so confused. I just like whatever. Like, but I don't even use concealer anymore. I could like when I go out, like I'll do a little bit extra. But other than that, like it's just very basic and it rubs off anyways. And plus, a lot of the stuff that I do is like athletic in certain kind of ways. So like I'm always on the go, and so I wear a lot of gym athletic kind of gear too on my day to day because I teach and I coach and I do a lot of kind of stuff. So like I have to be comfortable. You know what I mean? So anyways, so that was just a little side TMI, but where are we going with this? Let's get back to the story because it's important and it's revelation. This is revelation right here, right? Where were we up to? Right? Okay. Where are we up to? Okay. The queen saw all this and knew that, and when the girl came of age, her own beauty would be surpassed. Only the queen knew that she alone had drained the life force of the king for those years. With it, she had shored up her beauty. But soon the king would die. And then without another source of life force, the queen's power would wane. And if one became more beautiful than she, the queen herself would be eclipsed, and then she would shrivel and die or be burned. And she determined that she would not. A potion was made in her lonely room to aid, she said, the poor sick king. But it was not a potion to bring good health. Instead, it sped his span of years. By increasing the flow of life force, the queen sucked from her husband. The king aged 40 years in a mere 40 days until one morning, when Snow White went to see her father to beg him to take one last walk with her, she found him, old as the greatest of the trees in the heart of the forest, lifeless upon the floor, killed by magic. Stricken, Snow White ran to the forest and screamed her grief to the sky. She felt deep inside that something sinister, something evil was at work. And she looked about her and saw that something was wrong in the land as well. All the animals had a strange look in their eyes. They were wary, watchful, ready to run at the slightest sound. Over the last 40 days, the people said they could not harvest their fine crops, that the plum fruit fell from the trees before its time, rotten and ruined. She felt certain there was some wretched magic about. She must ask her stepmother if she knew its source. She did not wish to disturb the woman's vigil, for the queen spent all her time in a lonely room, praying, she said, for the king. But Snow White knew it was time to heal the land, and so she returned to the castle and began to climb the stairs. I gotta fix my butt. Alrighty. Listen, when I'm in whatever. The queen had ordered for the king's dusty remains to be swept up and buried next to the first queen, Snow White's mother, as the new queen had no need to keep the royal couple apart any longer. Afterwards, she went to the dark mirror, and as there was no moon, she saw just how repulsive she had become within. It was more important than ever before that she hide her true form from the servants, from the court, from her people, and from the girl as white as snow. But while she gazed into the mirror, the girl crept into the room, and seeing the fair face of the queen and the foul reflection in the mirror, she gasped in terror and in anger. This, she thought, is the reason all has been ill. This is no good thing. The queen turned, smiling, hoping the girl had not seen her true form, but the girl did not smile in return. I know who you are, she said, frightened but brave. You are no queen. This is evil magic. Are you the one who has hurt this land? Do you care nothing for the people? Did you take my father from me?" A soft laugh escaped the queen. "Yes," she said, smiling, pleased at the pain she could give this girl, "and your mother as well." The new queen added, a malicious and glittering in the light of the black candle, "And soon I will take you too." Snow White turned and fled, but the queen simply smiled. She was still the fairest in the land. Her beauty still held power. She had that. She turned to her mirror, holding on to that power. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" And her voice was a threat. "Queen fair thou art, but she has beauty of face and in heart." The queen felt as if she were standing at the edge of an abyss. "Speak more, my mirror," she ordered, voice calm as a glacier about to break. "Thou art fair, queen, it is true, but there is one fairer than you, with hair of ebony, lips red as rose, skin like snow, a mind that knows. Snow White's childhood is now done, her reign as beauty has begun, but it is not her beauty that is best, 'tis her heart that can pass every test." I'm gonna cry. Okay, maybe I won't cry in this book. Oh my god, we gotta read that again. That is so good. That is so good. So look at for those of you listen, just remember this. This was foretold in the mirror you see, right? We're talking about the mirror, you know what I mean. And so reflected upon back that which they said, you got nothing to worry about, my friends. Right? So thou art fair, queen, it is true, but there is one fairer than you, with hair of ebony, lips red as rose, skin like snow, a mind that knows. Snow White's childhood is now done. Her reign as beauty has begun, but it is not her beauty that is best. 'Tis her heart that can pass every test. The queen let one crystalline tear slide down her face, and she touched the edges of the shadows she saw creeping in under her eyes. Then she covered up her mirror and returned to the great hall, where she sat upon the cold throne and called the palace guard to bring her Snow White. But the girl could not be found. "She has fled, perhaps in grief, my queen," said the trembling guard. "Oh no, I would not want anything to happen to her." Wait, let's say that again. Let's do that again. "Oh no, I would not want anything happening to her," replied the queen, voice laid with feigned concern. "I have lost too much already. Bring me the best huntsman in the land." What? How does that make sense? Wait a minute. How does that make sense? "Oh no, I would not want anything happening to her," replied the queen's voice laced with feigned concern. "I have lost too much already. Bring me the best huntsman in the land." Why do you need the best huntsman? Oh, because they're good at locating. Maybe, I don't know. "And one man came to her with a hound as brown as good earth and a falcon to fly above and see in all directions. The queen saw him alone, and she told him to find Snow White. And what queen shall and all right. Hold up, guys. This is where it gets a little tricky. The queen saw him alone, and she told him to find Snow White. "And what queen shall I do when I find this girl?" he asked in a voice low and serious. "You will remove her heart," said the queen, "and say she was taken by wild animals. You will bring that heart to me, and we will speak no more of her after that." Despite his horror at these orders, the man took the bag of gold the queen handed him. Ah, he was paid, right? Sold his own soul in that type of leveling of betrayal, right? Why is it a leveling of betrayal? Because despite his horror, so if he didn't have no heart of like remorse or guilt or knew that that which he was being sent out to do was wrong, then he wouldn't have had any feeling of horror. He would have just been like, yeah, I got this. I could do this. All right, say no more. Haha. Anything else? You want anything? You get what I'm saying? So the fact that he sold, like, that's like that selling of your soul. Like, that's why they can have something on you, right? When you care and you did something that was outside of you know what I mean? Or, tied yourself to a certain type of karma or contract that um you chose gold over your soul. You know what I mean? Something like that. I don't know. Right? So despite his horror at these orders, the man took the bag of gold the queen handed him. For the failure of the falsely beautiful crops was creating alarm among the country folk, and he knew he must do what he must do to weather the approaching famine. So he and his hound and his falcon began the hunt. The huntsman tracked Snow White for days, and when he found her in the heart of the forest, she was curled up within the roots of the greatest tree the man had ever seen. The huntsman's hound bayed and called, and then he calmed as the girl beneath the tree awoke. Her eyes were wide and kind, and she looked straight into the soul of the hound. Even the fierce falcon on the huntsman's arm gentled, and then she gazed into the huntsman's eyes, and he saw her. He truly saw her. That's enchanting, right? That's enchanting. That's the enchantment of the true beauty of as within exudes on out. That's what it be all about. It's seen the eyes are the windows to the soul. I love that. Right? He truly saw her. How can you take the heart of something like that if he's a true gentleman? Like, we get it, he's a huntsman, but he was doing that which he saw the famine approaching. But now he's looking into the eyes of an angel, in the arms of an angel, far away from here. I don't know the words. All right, let's go because we gotta go. I've been sent to take your heart out, he said simply, reaching out his hand. By the queen, said the girl, as if she knew, and she did not take his hand, but huddled back into the roots a little more, and it seemed the great tree itself gathered about her, sheltering her. By the queen, agreed the huntsman, sitting down upon a great old coiled root. Will you take it? She asked. I cannot, he replied, without losing my own soul. We were talking about that, right? Before I read that. We were talking about that. Exactly. So I am so glad that he knew that price and he chose not to, although he took the bag. He took the bag though. So what do you do? Because that's a witch and she's cruel. And so, oh, right. I remember the story now. Let's continue to read. Right? I cannot, he replied, without losing my own soul. They sat for a while and finally he sighed, heavy at heart. Keep going into the forest, girl, he said. Run as far as you can and don't ever look back. She is mad and she will kill you. She hesitated. What will you do? I'll bring her a heart, he said, but it will not be yours. You can't kill anything on my behalf, she said fierce. Oh, wait, she said fierce, so let's go back. You can't kill anything on my behalf, she said fierce. I will not. Now go, before I change my mind. For to cross this queen is its own kind of madness. Wait, I want to read that again. Cut! I will not. Now go, before I change my mind. For to cross this queen is to that's the tongue tie. Cut! Again, right? Because we don't edit up in here. If you want to see edits of some kind of fun, go to at Mystic Muse Vlog, EnchantressTheeBabbler's Mystic Muse Vlog. Vlog number 5, surprise, has been finally aired. So go learn about our new fur baby. Yeah, so go over there. But anyways, hi, my Shiva Diva. How you doing? All right, so all right. Okay, I will not. Now go, before I change my mind. For to cross this queen is its own kind of madness. So Snow White clambered up from her fortress of roots and reached out, stroked the dog who went to go with her. The huntsman turned and dashed a tear from his eye, and the loyal hound reluctantly turned from the girl and walked side by side with the huntsman. When he was close to the castle, he removed from his sack the young deer he had taken down that morning. He cut from its still body the tender heart, silent and small, but large enough to be the girl's. "I am sorry, little one," he whispered to the spirit of the deer. Then he went back to the castle with the heart the queen wanted. She gonna be mad when she learned the truth, right? But you see, when you have that fake kind of power that you take, right? You don't have the real kind of power that sees. It's only that what you take because you don't really see, right? You only see that what you wish to take. Anyway, we're not gonna go into that right now. Right? We're gonna continue reading, right? Let me see. So okay. "I'm sorry, little one," he whispered to the spirit of the deer. Then he went back to the castle with the heart the queen wanted. His return was announced, and the queen called her courtiers to her. Holding up the heart before them, she cried out, "Alas, good people! Your princess is no more. She ran in her grief for her father into the woods, and she was devoured by the fierce beasts that dwell there. Do not flee, people, as she did. Stay here, safe within the castle walls, and we will face the coming winter together." She lifted the heart higher so all could see, and the grief of the people was terrible. "No one leaves," she said to the guards. "Kill them if they try." For she knew that if a single soul was to see her shifting between her forms, she would be exposed. The people were weak, but they were greater than she in number. What she had to do must remain the queen's secret. And she went to her lonely tower room and salted and ate the heart, licking at her fingers. "I am the fairest. I am powerful. I am forever young," she crooned to herself, her eyes avoiding the ugly truths within the mirror. For while once she had only seen her true form as at dark moon, little by little the mirror had begun to reflect who she truly was at all times, and her true self grew even uglier. But a little of her beauty seemed revived by the hope that Snow White has died but was dead. But she did not ask the mirror who was the fairest of them all. Perhaps did not want to know the truth. As for the huntsman, he knew obeying any command of this queen could lead only to evil. So he stole away from the court and made himself and his family scarce. They fled deep into the forest under Night's cloak and headed for the tree where he had last seen the princess. Escaped? In the days that followed, the world grew cold, and the girl underwent the lonely initiation of the forest. At first, she followed the tracks of the tiny deer that she knew from her childhood walks. Right, so where were we? uh, okay, I'm here. In the days that followed, the world grew cold, and the girl underwent the lonely initiation of the forest. At first, she followed the tracks of the tiny deer that she knew from her childhood walks. But as she went deeper into the woods, she began to follow the path of the reindeer, eating what was good of the fruits and the roots of the forest. But Snow White could see all about her that harsh times were coming. The animals were vanishing, and those that remained peeped out at her, eyes filled with mistrust, even for the girl with the pure, wild heart. Yet she coaxed them out and shared her food with them, and even the wolves were gentle and came to eat from her hand. Sorry, guys. Definitely go check out my vlog so you can understand why I had to push up the vlog. Because she's a wild one. Okay, oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. Yet she coaxed them out and shared her food with them, and even the wolves were gentled and came to eat from her hands. The princess wove a little home of fallen willow wood and covered herself in rowan leaves. and her long black hair twisted into the wild shadow shapes about her perfect face, and she looked more fairy than human for a time. As it grew colder and the first snow began to dance in the breeze, she began to search for the others living in the forest. She had heard strange calls in the woods, and she knew there must be more wild ones living in this ancient world. She could almost catch a glimpse of them at times, darting just at the edge of her gaze, but when she turned to look, they could not be seen. She did not know it, but she had stumbled upon the borders of fairy, and the wild ones she had glimpsed were the fairy folk, who were drawn to the strange human child, curious as to why she had come so close to their world. She went on walks each day from her little twisted home of Willowwood, and every day she walked a little farther, until one shivering day she found a path, narrow and so well hidden that only eyes disposed to see could find it. She followed this path until she came to a door of oak within the side of a great round mound surrounded by shining white rocks. She pushed at the door, and it opened. Within were herbs and cauldrons and 7 small beds lined up one after the other. She was so cold, so very tired, and ravenously hungry. In a cupboard, she discovered honey, good bread, and meat, and she feasted on these. Then, without thought, she dragged 2 of the tiny beds together and stretched out along their double length, her pretty feet spilling over one end, black hair falling over the other. She pulled a sheepskin over herself, and just like that, she slept like she had not rested for moons and moons. That night, the door opened, and a tumble of burly little men burst into the room, light burning from their tallow torches, sacks gleaming with stones from the earth, a tremendous clatter of small shields, picks, axes, and swords hanging from their thick woven belts. They were men of the earth, the dwarfs, who fashioned the armor of the wild ones and the most protected of princes. The stones sang to them, and they would find those ready to come to the surface. And while their wisdom was not that of the wise men of the courts, they were knowledgeable in the ways of their mother, the earth. As they entered, they saw a fire burning in the hearth at the center of their room, and they saw the young woman, stretched as if dead over 2 of their beds, and they clambered forward, gazing upon her. Most were afraid. She was from the other lands, the human places, and wild ones of the forest ought never trust such people. But as they argued among themselves, some saying even that they should put her out into the cold or cut her white throat, or she could kill them, she opened her eyes wide and stared at them all, and they felt something strange stir within their souls. She was not afraid, and she reached out to touch them, one after the other, on their cheek or shoulder, and it was a blessing and a benediction. And within moments, even the one who had said he would kill her found himself upon his knees, swearing to protect her. I love this. Snow White stayed within doors. Snow White stayed within Dora's home for one day, sleeping and eating and growing stronger than ever before. Then she went with them, and they taught her the ways of the earth, of smithcraft, of the secrets of the stones, and of the powers of the crystals. But one day, instead of going with the Dora, she stayed behind to tend to the forest animals who were gathering closer to the dwelling. As the cold grew in power, and while she went about her work, she began to feel happy, and so she sang, and that song attracted more of the animals to her. They were comforted by the energy of her song, and rested within the safe space the sound created all about her. Wherever she could be heard, there existed their magical protection. But the same day, Snow White's sweet voice was also heard by one who was searching for her. For the queen had soon learned from her mirror, from the disappearance of the huntsman, and from the return of the shadows beneath her own beautiful eyes, that Snow White was still alive. This time, she decided she would take care of the girl herself. So she took on the shape of an old wise woman, and at that very time Snow White was singing, she was making her way through the forest. She looked bent and ancient, as aged as she truly was. Truth be known, she fixed a smile upon her crisscrossed lips, and was sure to keep a false kindliness shining out from her crinkled eyes, near swallowed as they were in folds of ancient skin. Humans could be deceived with such tricks, but the forest shrank back from her, and with every footstep the earth turned to dust beneath her feet. The wicked queen followed the shining trail of the princess's golden voice and came to the house within the hollow hill, with its circle of glowing stones, only to find an impenetrable energy was pouring from them, and she could not pass. But she called out to the girl, whom she could see from where she stood. Snow White was taller and lovelier than ever, her hair as long and as straight as her mother's ebony staff, her skin luminous as lustrous as white quartz, and first snows, roses blooming upon her cheeks. The queen felt the princess's power and knew she had done right to decide to end this shining girl. That's how it be, right? You shine so bright, and that's how some people fucking think. But you know what? Forgiveness is key. And I know that that sounds like sucky and all this kind of stuff, but this transmutation that is for the best, like you're gonna eliminate that wicked bitch for the rest of us by doing that which is right and not fighting eye for eye, tooth for tooth, that type of thing. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, something like that, right? So the queen felt the princess's power, and she knew she had done the right to decide to end the shining girl's life. I am in need of a drink, my dear, the woman called, her voice a croak. Snow White nodded, and in her haste to fetch the old woman a cup of tea, of white oak bark and honey steeped in the water boiling in the cauldron, she failed to see that the animals had hidden themselves from the crone. She hurried forth, a steaming cup and some good bread in her hand. Here, mother, she said kindly, lean on me and drink this. It is good, pure water, with healing bark within it to return you to your strength and wellness. The old woman drank, then, and felt the truth of the girl's words. She nibbled at the bread and clutched at the edge of the glamour, keeping her disguise in place. She did not allow herself to feel the gratitude that she showed, for that would make the spell fall from her. She smiled at the girl, one lonely tooth remaining in her old mouth. You know, that's crazy. So look at, she did not allow herself to feel the gratitude she showed, for that she would make the spell fall from her. So people can be like that too. So it's like, don't think that they don't feel these things. Like we can be like, oh, you lack gratitude, but maybe they don't. Maybe they acknowledge that they could feel the gratitude. They just choose not to resonate in it. You get what I mean? It's like the duality, like the choice that you get to make about certain kind of things, right? So she smiled at the girl, and only one tooth remaining in her old mouth. Thank you, beautiful lady, she croaked. You are so fair, perhaps the fairest in all the land. Snow White shook her head. No, she replied. I know a woman more beautiful, but alas, her heart is ruined with hate. The old woman reached into her pockets and pulled out a knife. Snow White stepped back. Do not fear, my sweet, said the queen, hidden in her glamour. Here. And she reached again into her filthy cloak and pulled out a perfect shining red apple. It's as red as your lips, beautiful lady, as payment for your kindness, she said, slicing one curling ribbon from it and nibbling at it. It's summer sweet, for your goodness. Have some. I thank you, said the girl, taking the apple and breathing in its delicious scent. She bit into the fruit, tasting its promise of blue skies and golden fields. It was fragrant and tasted so sweet that she wondered if it had been honeyed. She took another bite, then she blinked a little, her eyes losing focus as she took a third bite. Do you feel sleepy, my dear? The old one asked as Snow White sank to her knees, a sudden weakness flooding through her, a dizziness, a loss of balance. Finally, the girl fell heavy to the ground, into the arms of death itself. The old woman laughed and coughed and spat up the poison pit of apple she nibbled and left it there beside the girl. The woman changed her form slowly, all the way back to the castle, until she appeared before the guards as the queen they knew, looking as fresh and lovely as if she were 20 years younger and had enjoyed the longest, most restful sleep. She made her way to her lonely room and put away her poisons and stared at her face within the magical mirror, its darkness revealing only her beauty. She called forth the spirit that lived within the obsidian mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Thou art the fairest, O queen, said the dark mirror. It was strange, but the queen could hear just a touch of sadness within the voice that issued from the dark glass. But still, she went down to her supper and ordered a great feast and danced all night and took great pleasure in the knowledge that the power of her beauty was unrivaled again at last. As the queen feasted back in the forest, the dwarfs returned to find their Snow White lying upon the ground without breath, as heavy and still as if she was made of stone. They began to fight among themselves again. Return her here, return her to earth, one cried through mad tears. Another said they should build a great fire and turn her to smoke so she could go to the sky. Another said they should build a casket of magical crystals and preserve her until they found the spell that would return her to life. And as they could not bear to bury her or burn her, they labored on that night. They labored all that night and built a casket of clear quartz. What, right? Then they laid their black-haired princess within that crystal casket and heaped the whitest snow about her to keep her body cold. By nightfall, they were done. Her face was turned to the shining moon, and Snow White looked not so much a human anymore, but as something beyond life, something eternal and at rest. True winter came then, and it was long, and the dwarfs continued their work beneath the ground and also tended to Snow White's casket, and not a thing changed within that enchanted crystal coffin. The princess remained perfect, incorruptible, and they searched and searched for answers to bring her back. At night, they pored over old runes and secret spells, rare stones and powerful herbs, their hearts aching at her loss. And they heard one day of a queen who practiced great old magic, and one of the dwarfs traveled to the land and offered that queen a great sword inscribed with protective charms if only she could travel back with them and help their Snow White. This queen was old, though, and could not journey at This queen was old, though, and could not journey at so to bear a cold time, and so she sent the young prince, her son, in her stead. He traveled for days with the dwarfs through the snows and finally came to the casket in the forest. We will need to move her, the prince told the small men of the earth. So the dwarfs swept away the snow and shifted the circle of white quartz and lifted the casket onto their shoulders. But although they were strong, the casket was heavier than they could bear, and it fell to the ground and cracked, and the body of the girl was thrown about within her crystal chamber. With that, from between her lips fell a bite of apple, and with it the last remnants of the queen's spell were broken. Her huge eyes flew open, and she gasped, then shook, and her fists beat up upon the crystal chamber, cracking it further, until it fell in shards and perfect points all about her. I'm going to read that again. So the dwarfs swept away the snow and shifted the circle of white quartz and lifted the casket onto their shoulders. But although they were strong, the casket was heavier than they could bear, and it fell to the ground and cracked. And the body of the girl was thrown about within her crystal chamber. With that, from between her lips fell a bite of apple, and with it the last remnants of the queen's spell were broken. Her huge eyes flew open as she gasped, then shook, and her fist beat upon the crystal chamber, cracking it further until it fell in shards and perfect points all about her. The prince went to her and held her, and she stared at him and at the men of the forest. Every one of these earthly beings were weeping and sighing with happiness. Then the princess climbed out of the ruins of her crystal casket and stood blinking amongst the shining fragments of earth magic. She looked into the eyes of the prince, and he gazed into hers, taking her cold hands in his and warming them. Okay. And warming them gently. With that one embrace, the truest of all spells, that of love between two good souls, wove a knot and bound them together so tightly that it would have mattered not whether they married or indeed ever saw each other again, so strong was their connection. And they all And they all, 7 of the men of the earth, Snow White and the prince, began to journey out of the forest and into the land from which the prince came. With Snow White's every footstep, the snow melted and flowers sprang up in its place. Slowly the animals crept forth from their hiding places, they heard whistling and leaping about. And with their long walk, the cruel winter melted away and was only a memory by the time they reached the prince's castle. Months after Snow White was awakened, something strange happened in her former home. The queen there received an invitation to a hand fasting, a joining of souls. When she looked in the mirror, she cried out, for her face was beginning to resemble her soul, and she knew that there was the power of a greater beauty within the land. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? She trembled hardly, daring to hear the answer. O queen, the form, it is most fair, but another lives beyond compare. The princess of another land, about to take the prince's hand, is fairer far than you, great queen. She is the fairest ever seen. That queen was wretched with grief, and taking her magical knife to the mirror, she stabbed at it again and again and again until its obsidian depths cracked. Even as its magic shattered, she continued to drive the blade into its black depth, and with each broken-hearted strike, her form changed. In her fury, she grew older and older and older until all she could do was wail and cry and crawl upon the floor alone. Finally, surrounded by the shards of her own magic, she collapsed, withered into bone and dust, and died within moments. And that is how her people found her. In time, Snow White and her prince returned to Snow White's family's home, to the land and her castle and the good people. Together, they brought balance and warmth back to the land. And when it grew cold, as it always does when the wheels turn, they lit great fires and feasted with their people, and they lived long and good lives, and gave the dwarves their due as great creators of shields and swords. The land was well, the people thrived, and the love of the princess and her prince was long and good, and most blessed for all the days of their lives. And that is the story of Snow White. Thank you so much for tapping in, turning on, tuning in with me. Legacy, 9 of Cups, satisfaction, 10 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles, right? Having it all. Sipping from every single type of cup of desire that you desire to inspire and have in your own world, whatever that looks like for you, right? Having happiness too, having happiness, inner wisdom, satisfaction, right? Having these things, knowing these things, growing these things, learning from experiences, not repeating the same mistakes, right? Growing past conditions. 9 of Pentacles, receiving reward, right? Receiving reward, right? From your own rest, from your own repose, from your own position of introspection, right? From your own position of stillness comes reward, right? For doing that which you are doing, right? That's amazing. That is amazing. That is amazing. I love that, right? So take it easy. Take it easy. You can if you think you can, right? Do what you love. Do your best too when you do that, right? Rise and slay. Life is too short to be small, right? So keep up the good work. You are loved. Don't stop trying, right? Choose happiness. Choose happiness. Dreams don't work unless you do, right? Stay focused. You are braver and stronger than you know. Do what you love. Choose happiness, right? I'm so proud of you, right? Be brave, be bold, be you, right? Take it easy, right? Too, right? I like that. I like that, right? I like that. Fall in love, right? The symbol of love, union, soul connection. How your comfort is revived. Hey. Be nice. Be nice, Shiva. Eden. Come here. Right, definitely check out my blog, Mystic Muse blog. Definitely check out my blog too, enchantingbabble.blogspot.com. All the information in the description box below. You can follow me on Instagram too at Enchantress, ENCHANTRESS. Thank you so much. Thank you for tapping in, turning on, tuning in for magical fairy times with me, fairy tale time with me, an enchanting collection of retold tales. And I hope that you enjoyed Snow White Oracle. Yeah, until next time. Come again.